watch what's approaching. The supreme moment, reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? Looks like the World Clash battle between Global and JP has officially wrapped up based on the latest numbers. This unit, Hercule right here, will end up being a Global exclusive unit, whereas JP will end up getting the Cell unit. But let's go ahead and test this guy out on the JP side and see how he does. Again, I will preface this by saying that this unit is more or less, no more or less, a trophy item. It's a collection type card unit that you basically just keep in reserve. I personally don't think you'll find that much use for it on whatever team settings you decide to run this guy on. But just out of curiosity, let's see how this guy does and see his overall impact on whatever team he's on. I mean, he's a champion of Earth after all, so might as well see how he does. So let's start out by talking about the overall stats. So leader skill is Android Cell Saga Category, Ki +3, HP attack and defense, increase of 33%. Super attack will cause supreme damage to the enemy, and the passive skill is attack and defense, increase of 33%. Attack and defense, increase of 33% when attacking as well. Ki +3, attack and defense, increase of another 33% for 3 turns after receiving an attack. In terms of links, you've got Infighter, attack increase of 10%, enemies defense minus 10%. World Tournament Champions +1 Ki, Champion Strength is +1 Ki. Hero is 20% to defense, Money is +1 Ki, and then Soul versus Soul is Ki +1 and also weakens regeneration. 2 categories, so pretty limited, unfortunately, World Tournament and Android Cell Saga. So again, you will be seeing this guy on the maximum boost possible for the Android Cell Saga category setup with the LR Perfect Cell leaders. In terms of max stats, HP is 9,337, whereas defense is 9,527, and defense is 6,524. Looks like for the 12 Ki Multiplier is 130% as well. So again, this guy really isn't a major powerhouse by any means. It's more or less a collection item, just like the Cell unit. Well, the Cell unit could slightly be better because of, the skill sets are essentially the same, but the links are much better on the Cell unit versus this one. So that's probably the main driver for performance differences between the two. But again, ultimately both units are meant as trophy items, and that's pretty much the extent of it. So, this is one of those only one-time occurring type events. So there's not going to be an opportunity to get a copy like this, and that's pretty much essentially what all that is bragging rights for being around for a while and just adding it to the collection, really. In terms of the team setup, you do have units included that pretty much provide as much support as possible for Hercule, like the Super Vegeta unit obviously provides 25% towards attack for agility and strength type. Also does have the Soul versus Soul link skill, so that adds +1 Ki for Hercule. And then I think you've got a couple of other units like Android 16, the new one, does provide a 50% increase toward attack as long as you have a Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2 Gohan on the team as well. It's kind of funny how both of them work mutually exclusive, I guess you could say, where one needs the other to be able to get the full passive skill or whatever requirements activated or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, this guy, 660k in attack stats, crit for about 542,000 with type advantage. I mean, that's certainly acceptable, but again, they're way better units on the team. So that's why I keep saying it's more or less just a collection and just have it in your box. You know what I mean? It is a pretty funny card art, though. I mean, it's one of those troll type cards to include in your deck and just have a little bit of fun staring at it. I assume a lot of people will probably end up rainbowing this unit too, just out of shits and giggles. So I assume it's really just a trophy. You know what I mean? It's just funny how this guy ends up taking the whole credit for not only just the Cell Saga or Cell games, but also, the Majin Buu Saga as well, on defeating both Cell and Majin Buu, or yeah, Kid Buu, or whatever you want to call it. It's crazy. You know what? The guy made a killing. He made a ton of money off of taking advantage of that scenario. But you know what? The Z Fighters and everybody's all right with that because they don't want to be world known for that shit anyway. So it works out for everybody, I guess. But Hercule is the world champion. He is Earth's savior. He is the strongest man or entity or whatever in the entire universe, apparently, according to us mortal humans. So it's definitely I love having characters like that in a series, and he's definitely a very, very interesting character and highly entertaining. The Cell Saga with the start of Cell games, his introduction was probably one of the best character introductions into the series, and the simple flick into the into the cliffs by Cell, and how he's trying to come up with excuses on that, and all these key attacks or whatever that he sees from the Z Fighters, or flying, and all that flying abilities and all that, and he's talking about how it's a camera trick and all that. It's just, he's just one of those characters that you really do have to include as kind of a comedic relief, I guess, in a way, and I think it worked out well. He had a pretty big role in the Dragon Ball universe, and it's just funny how everything works out. So in terms of the stats overall, with all that being said, it's really a trophy item and nothing more than that. And honestly, that's pretty much the takeaway with that. You're not going to expect a crazy amount of damage applied, even if you do bring in a fair amount of support. The funny thing about the Android Cell Saga category is there seems to be a lack of supporting type units on the team. There are a few, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's definitely less compared to some of the other categories available in the game right now. So that's one of the things I noticed with that, and it's definitely interesting, But I guess the other question that's probably appropriate to ask is, are you guys, JP players, are you happy you got the Cell unit? Or would you have rather gotten the Hercule unit? Global players, are you happy you got the Hercule unit, or you wish you had the Cell unit? Let me know in the comments. So I think coming up we have type advantage against the physical type 17, so maybe some decent output here coming up. The one thing I really love about these dual celebrations is it's a great way for both versions to enjoy the celebration at the same time. I think including stuff like this where it's simply a friendly, competition. It's not a fierce rivalry by any means. All of us that play the game, regardless of versions, we play it because we love it. You know what I mean? So there's always going to be that friendly competition. With that being said, but it's all in good fun, and the fact that we're able to celebrate, the entire campaign at the same time, I think is a really good thing. So, they definitely need to continue doing that, at least at the bare minimum, at least once a year. And this, the whatever million downloads celebration works out very well because, it is a worldwide achievement. So the fact that they celebrate both of them, both versions at the same time, it definitely makes perfect sense on that. But, we'll have to see what comes with part 2. Of course they're going to have another banner coming up, and we'll end up seeing what exactly that will end up being. But back to the showcase itself. Again, this is a trophy card type unit. Don't expect any, major power play going on with this unit, regardless of whatever category he falls on. So that's pretty much the extent of it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching the video, and catch you guys later.